seen, Ms. Dalia, this video, President Barack Obama calling for self-restraint, and concurrently the images showing the U.S. Police cracking down on protesters. Your comments?
Part of the reason why we actually created this video in the office, my team created this video, is to show how demonstrations are dealt with around the world. So peaceful demonstrations are met. This is just a part of the video that you showed, but the rest of the video showed everywhere: Japan, China, France, UK, Turkey. Peaceful demonstrations must be protected by the police in the country. Violent demonstrations are met with violence. So that's what we wanted to depict. In the United States especially, we dealt with in a different way. We wanted to show that all the criticism that was given to Egypt throughout its transitional period on how we dealt with our demonstrations and our sit-ins. We had more serious problems than demonstrations. We had sit-ins that went on for over 60 days.
Yes.
How we dealt with that was strongly criticized by the United States administration. You also see Hillary Clinton criticizes and asks the Egyptian administration to give more freedom to the press. Whereas we saw in the Ferguson incident that the press cameras were taken and were confiscated. And so what we wanted to do is give this comparison. And what we really want to say, the message is, I don't want to criticize other countries. My message is that freedom of expression should be protected around the world. But peaceful freedom of assembly is what should be protected. Violent demonstrations are not accepted anywhere. And that's the whole point.
Ms. Dalia, what did you tackle?
Actually, this has been quite a new experience for us as an NGO. We went in the 26th session, and that was in June, and had two side events. NGOs in the United Nations, the civil society are allowed to give side events that talk about their cause. You know, you are allowed to discuss your cause. So as an Egyptian NGO, we decided that perhaps we've been working in Egypt since 2007 internally on strengthening the bond between the people and the police, and on opening communication channels between them.
And that it has started before the
2007, much, long before the two revolutions. And it was founded by a former police officer who decided, Dr. Youssef, who decided that when he left the Ministry of Interior, that there should be more work done in this field. But with the transitional period, the critical transitional period that Egypt is going through, we decided that perhaps it would be also beneficial for us to start going abroad. And I think this is a time for all of us as Egyptians to put in the effort that we can and to try to develop Egypt as quickly as possible. The image of Egypt abroad is not a very happy one, and so we wanted to go out and contribute to clarifying and explaining what Egypt stands for after June 30th. And so in the 27th session, we decided to tackle controversial issues. So one of the very controversial and highly an issue that invited criticism on Egypt abroad was the demonstration law. And so we did a side session on demonstration law. We had a very good delegation with us. We had Dr. Hafiz Abu Saada and Dr. Margaret Hauser, the former parliament member, and Mr. Hani Labib, and Dr. Who's a media person and spoke about the neutrality of media in dealing with issues like this. And we had Dr. Ahmed Abdul Halim, of course, the military strategist, and he spoke about the need for international cooperation.
But why do you think Western media has criticized this law to the extent of describing it as a draconian law?
You know, it fails me. it fails me to understand, because what we did before we went there, of course, is our homework. And what we did is a comparison between the new Egyptian protest or demonstration law that was issued in 2013 and demonstration laws around the world. And we're reading the Spanish demonstration law, the UK demonstration law, Venezuela demonstration law. We read everything. And we did not see, you know, I don't want to defend it with all my souls. I mean, I would leave the human rights. We have a National Human Rights Council that I understand has some reservations on this law, but I did not see huge differences between, my understanding is that our demonstration law was derived from, we didn't invent the wheel, it was derived from other demonstration laws around the world.
But how do you read these condemnation by the different Western countries regarding this protest law which was issued in Egypt, taking into consideration also the condemnation of the way the police is dealing with the protests here in Egypt, while in other countries like Turkey, for example, we have seen 36 people died in the clashes with the police recently, and we did not see any condemnation or any sort of comments by the West regarding these issues.
You know, I think I should tell you, politics is a game, right? Turkey, 34 died last week, 360 were injured, and over 1,000 were arrested. And the statements that came out of the Turkish administration, President Erdogan said that he will not allow, he called it vandalism in the streets. And he said that if Turkey is an independent state, it will not allow vandalism in its streets. Okay. Of course, we did hear his criticism of the Egyptian demonstration law. And not only did he do that, he asked the parliament next week, within 1 week, the Turkish parliament, to review the demonstration law in Turkey and to make it stricter in dealing with violence. Okay. On the other hand, we have the Turkish Minister of Interior came out with a statement and said that he arrested over 1,000 because they simply went out in the street to demonstrate without permission. Did anyone see anything different happen here in Egypt?
No.
Now we have the Human Rights Watch. Of course, when we were in Geneva, the Human Rights Watch session was 2 days or 3 days before our session. And I think you all read what came out of that. Amnesty International, the same. I haven't heard anything from Human Rights Watch on Turkey. I haven't heard anything from Amnesty International. The European Union came out with a statement 3 weeks ago in the United Nations, in the Human Rights Council, condemning Egypt's human rights status. I haven't heard anything about Turkey.
So how do you comment about
maybe
that?
I mean, we're waiting, you know. Yet. Let's look at the good side.
Too optimistic.
Mrs. Dalia, as an NGO, a member of an NGO organization, what kind of law do you expect or do you look up to from the upcoming parliament regulating the work of the NGOs, especially after what we have seen in the past and the relationship between the authorities and the NGOs?
You know, thank you for asking that question. NGOs, you know, I was recently told by a government official that the Egyptian government sees NGOs as troublemakers, sees NGOs as opposition, as opposition makers. This is not true. And if this is true in Egypt, we hope it would change. NGOs, their work, civil society's work is not only to oppose and not to make, not all NGOs are Kifaya and April 6th movement, okay? NGOs, the civil society's main role is to actually...
I believe, in my personal opinion, it's the voice of the voiceless.
It's the voice of the voiceless. It's also, part of what we want to do is to also, like we are doing now, is to assist the government in laws that come out that we believe in as well, you know, in clarifying issues, in assisting it in the streets, and in bonding that relationship, and in criticizing the government if something goes wrong, if they're not doing their work. If, just like the media, part of your work is to actually observe the government's work and criticize and bring out to the light what you see wrong. Otherwise, how would you correct it, right? I think the NGO or the civil society role kind of coincides with that as well. And so I hope that this next parliament will help bring out a law that will kind of bring together the works of the authorities, the media, and the civil society.
Ms. Dalia Youssef, the member of an NGO and the participant of the 27th Human Rights Conference, which took place recently in Geneva. It was a pleasure having you with us in the
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And with that, we come to the end of this edition from The Breakfast Show. I would like to thank my dear colleague, Karim Gawaredi. Thank you, Karim.
Thank you, Mahesti.
And thank you, our dear viewers, for being with us for The Breakfast Show. And please stay tuned for more of our programs coming up next on Night TV International. So stay tuned, don't go away.